me. So thank you for putting this together, and I'm excited to be here today. The grants that I'm going to talk about at the APSA are really at the opposite end in some ways of the sort of professional spectrum that you're talking about. So the American Political Science Association, largely through donations from political scientists who want to give back to their colleagues and find ways of supporting the next generation of scholars, have created a number of funds, many of which are housed in the Centennial Center, which are aimed at enabling work through research grants, travel grants, and increasingly fostering collaborations, particularly international collaborations. We also do a number of fellowships for people to expand their opportunities or to particularly get placements in DC as well. So in addition to our well-known Congressional Fellowship Program, we also have this year for the first time a Pracademic Fellowship Program, which is mid-career placements for people who work in public administration or public policy to serve in the federal government. And we're really happy to be launching that this year. So let me just go through some of the quick numbers on our nuts and bolts here. So for our travel grants this year, APSA gave out $80,000 to scholars who are attending this meeting, to our teaching and learning conference. We had the availability of giving up to $120,000 in our small research grants. We probably gave out about $70,000 of that. Our fiscal year closes in October, so we'll have final numbers later on. And of that, we have about $20,000 to $30,000, which is for collaborations and particularly for bringing people together for planning workshops, for refining, publications, these types of things. And we also, then in addition to that, with our international workshops, so if you've participated in a workshop in the Middle East or in Africa, there's about $20,000 to $30,000 in funding there as well. So all in all, we're talking about upwards of $250,000. Most of our grant making is very small. It's about $500 to $1,000 per grant. And then our fellowships are sort of in a different category with larger sums to support scholars for months, if not for a full year. Likewise, age does not matter for our grants. We do, when we're targeting early career professionals, we do talk about time out from PhD, so up to 7 years is sort of our typical definition. Residency also does not matter. Sorry, citizenship does not matter, but residency does for some of our grants, so you do have to read the fine print there. But what I want to talk about just a little bit and very briefly is, well, what's the benefit of having $500 or $1,000? Why would we, as an association, want to try and help our members in this way? And I will say that you do have to be an APSA member to go for most of these grants. And there's really 2 points to doing that. One is, particularly for the focus on early career folks, you know, my experience of being someone who's right out of your PhD or you're trying to finish up and you need to find that next step. You don't necessarily have a big project that you're trying to do. You're not necessarily at the point where you are, you know, putting in for $3.5 million or any of these other things, but you do need to present your paper to a new set of colleagues that you haven't met yet, or you do need to go back and get a little bit more research in the field that you weren't able to do for the first time of your dissertation, and you know you're getting the feedback that you need to think about these things again, or you need to expand your cases, or these other things. And that's really where we see our grants coming in, is you're at that point where you need just a little bit more to get your next project going. We also really focus on building international collaborations at the early stage of the career stage, because if you want to be at that, in order to get to the point where you're going to be in the top third of your field, obviously you need to have scholarly excellence, you need to have their peer review, but then you also need to know, well, who's going to host me at an institution, and how do I find those people? It might be that you can, you know, in today's internet day and age, of course you can't always connect with people in different countries, but it also, there's nothing that really replaces that, actually having been there and having met that colleague who's going to say, this is great, let's work together on something in the future, I'd be happy to have you, or did you know that we also have these resources at our center? So the point is really to get people very early on in a position where they can network and build those professional relationships, which then allow them to move on to the next stage. So that's all I have. I'm looking forward to hearing from what the other folks here have, since I think we have a lot of overlapping interests. Thank you.